two stories. One from Microsoft says 2 things will stop Gen Z and millennials from quitting. Google CEO tells employees not to equate fun with money. I love these work reform stories. So I have 2 juicy ones today. Not so critical update. I just said
it's unfair. We've got this new form. No, wait, before you start, Mike, I know you're itching to get some stuff out, but I just want to say, I don't think it's fair that you got to intro all the stories this week. I don't like it. I'm
jump
going to
in.
quit myself. Yeah.
I'm going to quit myself.
Though.
Not so critical update reform.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
John and Peter are quiet quitting. Well, I warned you before I started recording that I have kind of solidified some of my thoughts around this quiet quitting movement. So I definitely look forward to unleashing that on you. But this Microsoft story is kind of biased. The thing we talk about, the thing that I try to point out is that
here I'm still working.
The way these stories are written are so biased every single time against the employees.
Right.
Microsoft's 2 things that say will stop Gen Z and millennials from quitting are more lateral movement opportunities within the company, because people just want variety. They want to learn new things, and the way they learn new things is by changing jobs. Never mind, it doesn't address pay. And one of the main reasons people switch jobs is to get paid more money. That's almost the only way you're going to get paid more money. And then the other is allowing them to have side hustles, essentially. Like, those are the 2 pieces of advice from Microsoft is allow your workers to have side hustles and create more opportunities for lateral movement within the organization. So why are you still unhappy, John?
Okay. I agree with the second point. I don't need your approval. I don't need you to tell me what I can or can't do on the side. Okay. If it's outside of the agreed upon hours that I work for you, I can go help someone with something for some side cash. 2, the biggest thing, not the fucking 2 things that will make them not say I quit. The biggest thing is you need to pay them more money. You think they give a shit about lateral movement? Yeah, maybe a small fraction care. Maybe a percentage, a small portion of the study group that you used care about lateral movement. The only thing people care about is that they're happy in what they do and that they make enough money. And those 2 are correlated, because if I'm happy with my job and my employees and employers, but I don't make enough money, I'm not going to be happy. And if I am not happy with my employer and employees and work, but I make enough money, I'm not going to be happy, right? So the 2 are 100% aligned. You cannot have one without the other, because we live in a society where money matters to live. Just to survive, we need money. If I have to walk into a grocery store and do mental math gymnastics while taking things off the shelf to make sure that I can afford this month's grocery shopping, something's wrong.
And
I've been there.
Most people do.
I've been there in the past where you have a set budget for that month. You're walking through the grocery store, you see something you want, and you stop. And the first thing you do is calculate in your head, can I afford this? No way to live. That is no way to live. And
my goal.
So many people have to go through this.
My life goal growing up was that I wanted to be able to go down the road, get a kebab, and not worry about how much change I had left. That was my life goal.
I've been there. And that was exactly also a huge driver for me to succeed in life, was to not have to think when it's such a classic, but it's so true. Do any of us here know how much a gallon of milk, or for you, Peter, how much a liter of milk cost right now?
Yeah, I do actually.
I've lost track. I'm not sure. I could tell you it's about $5. You asked me that 7 years ago.
What?
Well,
Oh my god!
A gallon is like almost 4 liters.
Yeah,
That's probably about right.
still more than it is here.
So,
Sorry.
my point is, you asked me that 7 years ago. I would tell you the exact amount to the cent 8 years ago.
Okay. You guys have like massive milk jugs, but that's
yeah. But
not the point.
Forget about the price. Yeah, forget about the actual price or the number that I use. I actually think it's more. It's like closer to 7 now. But the point is that so many people have to know this and think about this in their day-to-day lives. Where can they afford this? And this extends to their kids. And can they afford to buy this for their kids? Can they afford to get this for their birthday?
Sure.
Like, that is no way to live. So back to the original point of what Microsoft's saying will help people stop quitting. No, lateral movement will not help them. Paying them more will help them.
Maybe. I think you're possibly overweighting the salary side of that. If you're not getting paid enough money to survive, then yeah, you're going to be unhappy. But the threshold of what you're happy with or not in terms of pay does have a lot to do with satisfaction in your job in other areas. And I'm definitely someone who likes to do different kinds of projects. And so to me, the idea of switching jobs, even within a company, is very appealing. If I'm not making enough money, is that going to make me stay? No. But if I'm making okay money, even if I maybe think I'd like to make more, but it's a good work environment, then I would likely still stay.
And
I think
I guess
one
I
of the
should
problems we're getting.
preface.
Sorry.
I just wanted to throw this in that everyone's different. I'm not generalizing the entire world with my statements, but it is strong. But it's a strong sentiment across work reform is that they're not being paid enough to take all the bullshit that they have to deal with. Go ahead.
Which is almost certainly true.
Yeah.
I was going to say my thing about not getting paid enough is so I think I'm right. Whenever you talk about yourself and your point of view of these kind of things, it's easier to be biased because you can't see, what you're really acting like. But I've always felt like money has never been my primary concern. I've always said that if I wanted to, if that was my thing, I would have gotten a job as a Java developer and worked for a bank or something because they're just stupid money, which you could have done, but I chose not to. I chose to be a PHP developer because it was a lot more fun. But the thing about not getting paid enough to me, and I've said this in interviews, is if I discover that if I don't think I'm getting paid fairly, like according to my peers in the industry, then I will feel exploited by the people I'm working for, and I won't be a very good worker. I'm going to feel like I'm exploited, and my productivity will go down accordingly. Exactly. Nobody likes to be exploited or manipulated, and not getting paid off. And you will find out. Everybody finds out eventually if they're getting paid fairly, right? It just happens. People don't talk about it. There's this culture of not sharing your salary, but eventually, sort of the 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, you'll find out that, hey, oh my God, John's on like 50 grand more than me a year, or 100 grand, or 5 grand.
The same job, right?
Yeah, or he's been here 2 years, or I know he's shit at his job, or the opposite. Sorry, I should have used John as an example there. I
get what you're trying to say. Everyone gets what you're trying to say. John's shit at his job. Anyway,
yeah.
I mean, anybody who's watched the show knows that, John.
Oh, that's a guarantee.
By the way,
best
like and subscribe, guys. Like, just click a like, subscribe.
Agreed.
Join us on Discord.
Peter is the worst because he's become a YouTube slut who just won't fucking shut up about it. Just pouring our channel out.
We're gonna monetize this channel as soon as we can and quit our jobs. This is what we want to do.
We'll be running
our. If you want to watch us every day, all
day,
so go ahead and subscribe. Yeah, exactly. Molvat VPN, by the way. Heard of it? Go download it.
All right. Do you want my quiet quitting?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right. So we've talked about this several times, and
right,
John.
So summarize your position on quiet quitting, John.
My position on quiet quitting is.
Can I give my quiet quitting?
Yeah, of course. Please? Yeah, I think he's going to go through us. Don't worry.
Go ahead, Peter.
You'll get yours.
Okay.
Peter wants to go
Quiet
first.
quitting.
Yours is the
Okay,
one I'm going to
fine.
address specifically. I'm curious what Peter's is
Okay,
now.
yeah, go ahead, Peter.
I think quitting is okay in some circumstances.
Well, that's not what quiet quitting is, Peter.
It was my quiet
Mhm.
quitting
I
stance.
hate you.
Okay.
I hate you.
I'm glad we stopped the show for that. Thank you, Peter.
Right. Thank you.
All right,
Okay.
John, you may continue.
What's
I have
my
to figure
take?
out how to
My
mute
take-
Peter. That was
My take is that, and I've said this before on the show, quiet quitting feels like a painting of what isn't happening, because it's just by the name, it's a negative
Mhm.
lens that the news is portraying employees through, saying
Totally
that
agree.
using the words quitting when it's not quitting, it is doing the minimum to achieve the goals that's been created by the company you're employed by. So you're not staying up till 11 finishing a project.
Mhm.
You're not coming in on a Saturday. You're working the hours that they have agreed upon. You're doing the work that they agreed upon. You're not going above and beyond. That's
Yeah.
quiet quitting.
And we've talked about
Totally
the idea
incorrect
of
thing.
being a team player and all that stuff too, right?
Right.
So here's how I was thinking about this. I am a former Marine Corps, one of the best fighting forces in the world. And it is not because any individual Marine is a rock star, but because we all work together very effectively as a team. And I think if you look at athletics, and I know since started with the millennials, has definitely picked up with Gen Z, much less participation in team sports. And so we don't have that same cultivation of the idea of teamwork, I think. But I think teamwork is what makes a team better than the group of individuals. And I think that's really important. Now, do employers give all kinds of lip service to teamwork and culture and family and then not follow through on it? Absolutely. Tons of problems on the corporate side. And I could address those separately. But as far as the employees go, I think it really does. I think not only are you not making the company as it could be, I think you're actually shortchanging yourself. Now, does that mean you should put yourself in a situation to be taken advantage of where a company's underpaying you and expecting you to work 80 hours a week? Absolutely not. But I think to say, I'm here to do my job during the hours we agreed upon, nothing more, nothing less. I'll give it my best effort, but that's it. You can't win a Super Bowl that way. Your sports team's not going to be effective that way. You're not going to win a war that way with your military. People saying like, "Hey, I did what I was told to do, and I'm not looking to do anything more. So get off my back." I think that attitude, I do think, is a problem.
I'm not trying to win the Super Bowl, and I'm not trying to win a war.
The CEO of your company might be.
Yeah, and you know what? They can totally go above and beyond. And I'm not saying that I'm a quiet quitter, right? I work hard. Yesterday, I was up at literally up at 3 a.m. doing work, just because I was awake at that time. I didn't have anything to do. I had some work to do. Why should I feel obligated to do above and beyond and go above and beyond?
Can I say something that I've only just realized? Because we talked about this term quiet quitting, and I kind of agree with John. I don't like the way it's framed negatively.
I totally agree with that also.
Yeah, the first time I heard it, though, I thought it was like kind of empowering to the employees. It was kind of like a bit of a fuck you to their exploitative employers. It was like, I'm kind of like, I might as well be quitting because I'm doing the bare minimum. So it was like an up yours, which I thought was like, hey, good on you, rock.
Yep. I totally agree with that also.
Yeah. So the term itself, I think, can be seen from different points. It definitely is being pushed as these naughty, these terrible employers,
lazy millennials and Gen Zers. Yeah.
Yeah,
but I guess I'm saying. So I understand why that's the conclusion that workers come to, that this is what they need to do, and the attitude is, fuck you, I'll do what I'm paid for, nothing more. And it's not entirely it's not at all their fault, but I think they're drawing the wrong conclusion. They are being exploited, but it's not because the concepts of teamwork are bad. It's because their employer is shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's plenty of blame. Like all the blame goes to the employers, but I think the employees are maybe learning the wrong lesson.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I completely agree with you, Mike. I really do. I think it's the kind of like, it's like the teenager who's in a shitty situation and ends up being sulky, that they were right to be fucked off with the stupid rules at school, but the way they're reacting is immature and just like teenage style stuff. So yeah.
I should have a job that does excite me, that makes me, want to be there, that doesn't make me want to be watching the clock all day or figure out, do I have to do this or not have to do this? Like, I want that enthusiasm. I want that engagement for myself as an employee. And if the employer doesn't create that opportunity for me, that's on them. And if I say, hey, I'm going to pull back, you're not giving me what I need, totally fair. But as a movement, I think this idea that like, I'm just going to do what I'm paid to do and nothing more, nothing less, because this is a strictly financial transaction between me and an employer. I think that does a great disservice both to the employee and to the network.
It doesn't feel like an adult conversation that's happening. It doesn't feel like a mature kind of like, realistic. It's like both sides sort of trying to spin it, or at least the employer side trying to spin it in a certain light to,
which is where the idea of paying lip service to teamwork and all that happens anyway. Is the employers don't know how to build an effective team. They don't know how to build a good corporate culture. They only know the buzzwords and they want to strip every bit of productivity out of their employees that they can. Then this is what they get. I heard yesterday, 60% of inflation in the US right now is caused by excessive corporate profits. That blew my mind. The rest of it probably caused by supply chain problems. Yet what's the government doing? They're going to drive up unemployment and drive down wages. Like, absolutely ridiculous. Right. If employers would share the spoils of war, if they would treat their employees with respect and better, then employees wouldn't be in the situation where they feel like they have to pull back to protect themselves. Like, it's just it's a shit situation for everyone.
Agreed.
And I don't love it, but I feel like I finally have my thoughts kind of clarified around it. So
I came across an update from, so a few years ago, there was a guy, I think he was maybe in Canada, but he decided he was on like, I don't know, $1 million a year. And he was having a conversation with somebody, one of his employees, and they were talking about figuring out what their food budget was for the month. And he was like, hang on, this sucks. She was getting paid not bad wages, 40 or 50 grand a year or something like that. But so he decided to like pay everybody at least 70 grand. He took a $900,000 pay cut himself, and he gave everybody a baseline of like, and then it was a kind of an update for 5 years later. How did that work out for him? And apparently he had no regrets. Yeah, no, it's going really well.
Yeah.
Dan Price at Gravity Payments.
That's right.
Yeah, Gravity. That's it. Yeah.
Yep. Minimum salary of $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. For like for cleaners and everybody,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean that's how it should be. I mean, minimum wage should be $70,000 a year.
Yeah.
And the thing I know a lot of small business owners just say like, "Oh, I can't afford to pay. I can barely afford to pay my employees $7.50 an hour. How am I supposed to pay them $15 an hour? My business will fail." And every single time I tell them, your business is already failing. You just don't know it yet. How much are you paying yourself? That like this is your business. You're not going to retire, and if you can't pay them $7 an hour, what are you paying yourself? If it's $15 an hour, you're doing a shit job. If it's $100 or $200 or $300, $500 an hour, then you're just stealing. So figure it out. At any rate, I am not anti-capitalist. I love capitalism. Our version of capitalism in the US is 100% completely broken from top to bottom.
Agreed.